Hello and welcome. My guest today is an actor, a dance instructor, a model, and a beauty pageant queen with credits to her name that include Miss Supranational Jamaica 2018, Miss Black USA 2016, and the current reigning Miss Planet Jamaica 2020. Well, with an extensive resume and her commitment to use her platform and voice to make the community and world better, I was very much looking forward to this interview. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tonille Watkins. Hi, Tonille, can you hear me? Hi, how are you?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, I'm great, Oscar. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I know we were talking a little bit off camera here about just the weather over here in the San Fernando Valley. We've just been having a crazy weather week or last 2 weeks where it's been cold, especially during the mornings, a little hot, a little windy. Yeah, it's we have a mixture of all weather. How is it over there?
It's not quite so, well, we don't have
Erratic.
any of the heat, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
It's not quite so erratic. I mean, we did have quite a bit of snow a couple of weeks ago. We've gotten maybe as high as 40 degrees. So I kind of wish we had more heat, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure that you guys have hot summers over there, right?
We do. We have very hot summers. That's very true. So I guess I will relax right now with our winter since it's not so bad.
Excellent. Well, during my little intro there, I know I've missed so much more that you do because you do a ton. I've talked to you a little bit before this, and also, I've seen your profile. I've seen stories written about you. Uh, you're doing a lot. How in the world are you managing to do all this and still be here
Um,
in this show?
well, thank you. It's just always been something I've been really passionate about. As you mentioned, I'm an actor, and so I utilize my talents as an actor, not just in performance, but to teach. And so I work with a lot of professional theater companies in and around my area, as well as some schools to provide educational programming through theater. And so basically, I teach arts based classes to help students improve their communication and literacy skills.
Wow. That's great. Well, what's your motivation to keep going and doing all this?
I think my motivation is really the fact that I, as a kid, was one of those kids that didn't really love school. School was difficult for me. Sometimes I felt like I didn't fit in. I was such a daydreamer. My head was always in the clouds. And I also really hated math. And so the thing that kept me most interested and engaged in school was actually art. And through theater and the performing arts, that's how I realized I had a gift for language, in particular classical language. And so I had the chance to study theater and classical theater in college. I got the chance to study abroad in England at one of the best schools in England. For theater and performing arts. And I feel like none of those opportunities would have been attainable for me if I didn't have awesome theater educators who decided let's put arts in schools to keep kids like me engaged.
Wow. And this is uh, school. When you talk about not fitting in, is this school that you attended in the East Coast?
Yes, so this was school in the East Coast.
Hmm.
All throughout my childhood, through adolescence, growing up, definitely not feeling like I felt very confident in my classes, especially when it came to math, as I was saying.
Hmm.
And so, one of the things I love is that I've been able to do this work since graduating undergrad college in 2014. I've been able to do this work and it became my platform actually. So my pageant platform is called Learn for Life. And the purpose of Learn for Life is to promote education as a means to eradicating poverty. And the way we do that is by promoting education, particularly arts education, as a means to help students to learn communication and literacy skills, financial literacy, and it's aligned with their classroom curriculum. And so, what I love is that when I'm teaching third graders for one of my theater companies, the book that we are reading about financial literacy is one that we get to use to create skits and monologues. They absolutely love it. They have a blast and they learn financial literacy at a young age. It's really great. I love it.
Excellent. Well, before we get to your adventures in the UK across the pond, which I'm really interested in hearing because I've never been and I've always wanted to be out there, just visit to visit, of course. But so I'm interested in hearing that journey. But uh, with, I guess, what came first to you? The acting? Was it the beauty, the pageantry? Was it the modeling? What came first to you, and how did you expand from? I mean, because these are like just three different fields, really. Um, so how did you start with one? How did that come about, and then how did you expand to, the other things that you do?
Well, I started with theater. I started with dance. And my mom would say that she put me in dance classes really young, and I used to just wander around and look all over the room and not pay attention. And it wasn't until she threatened to pull me out of dance class that I finally started to listen and pay attention and learn something. And that's when we discovered I had artistic talents and abilities. And so throughout school, dance and theater sort of went hand in hand. Whenever I didn't have, or whenever I did have an opportunity to dance in school, it was usually because we were doing some sort of school musical or something like that. And so that's what got me into theater. Um, then later on, through my love for theater, and my mom's love of pageantry. She always loved pageants. She was a pageant girl in Jamaica herself, and she didn't compete very long because she ended up coming to this country. But she had such an amazing time that she shared that love with me. And then I learned that as a part of pageants, often there was a talent portion. And so I loved the talent portion. It was always my favorite. And I guess that's what just kind of brought me into pageantry. And through pageantry, I did spokesmodeling and really they all just sort of connected together at some point for me. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, and you have these different platforms that you can, have a voice in. So I think that's a huge plus. Um, and I have a feeling that, and we'll talk about this too, but that you're using all these platforms at your disposal to, to send a positive message out there. And so well, actually, now maybe we can talk a little bit about how you're using those platforms to change people's lives, especially the youth of today. And what has been your feedback, doing that?
It's been awesome. I've had a really, really great time. It started when I was graduating college, when I was graduating undergrad. I went to Adelphi University in New York, and at the end of your 4 years, you do a capstone, which I guess is sort of like a thesis. And so for my capstone, I was supposed to decide what was worthy of representing the culmination of my 4 years in college. And so I figured, why not write my own one woman play? I thought, what else could best showcase um, you know everything that I've taken from my college theater program, but to carry an entire play by myself. And so that's what I did. And I really just did it as a requirement. Like I just wanted to get a good grade on the capstone and graduate. But it ended up being one of the most positive experiences of my life. My professors saw it, and my department saw it when it debuted, when I showed my capstone. And all of the feedback I got said, you need to take this to schools. You really do, and share it with students. And so that began my journey of creating little school tours where I would contact different public schools, magnet schools, whatever schools I could get in touch with, and ask them if I could come and perform my show and do a Q&A session with students afterward. And that connection is actually what got me into education and what got me into educational theater, because I made connections with this play. And from there, it just took off. So it's been great. I even got the chance to bring my play to Jamaica, um, my mom's birthplace, which is also my second home. And it was incredible getting a chance to do it, especially in a rural area in Jamaica, where many of the students there don't really have the confidence to go from the school, from graduating and matriculating onto the professional world. They often don't have the confidence to feel like they can assert themselves in a way that an employer would need in order to employ them. And so um, after performing my play, I used theater in order to do a lot of mock interviews with them, in order to give them the personable skills they would need in order to work in some of Jamaica's most important industries, like tourism, for example.
Hmm. Wow. And
So it's really great.
yeah, did you ever see yourself as a role model for others? And uh, how was it like for you when you first realized, wow, all right, I'm a role model to somebody, I guess?
Yeah, that was something that came to me unexpectedly. I never thought of myself that way. I really just thought, honestly, I thought I was a bit weird because there weren't very many young women like me in my area who really wanted to pursue theater, and so it seemed very strange to me at the time. But I all I knew was that this this was what I loved to do. And so when opportunities started to come to me, when I got the chance to be Miss Black Connecticut, when I won Miss Black USA, having young women start looking up to me, especially little Black girls, it was just such an incredible feeling. And also slightly pressureful, if I'm to be honest, because it's different when you know that you consciously are a role model, and you want to make decisions that other young women will look up to and think of as the a great representation for themselves.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's excellent. And I mean, from what I've read and seen about you, you're a really excellent role model for, not just a certain number of people, but I think for everybody, adults and children and youth alike. And I think everybody can take an example of your journey and also try and implement some of that into their lives. I've met people that they only care about themselves, so they climb up the ladder of success, and then they don't do anything with it. They don't go anywhere with it. They discard people. They think that some people are beneath them, and I just don't think that that's a really good way of living life at all. I try to stay away from people like that. But you're definitely something different. You're using your platforms. You're using your skills and your talent to help elevate people around you. And I mean, I think that's a great virtue to have that not
Thank
everybody
you.
has. And with your current reign, uh, actually, one of the things that I'm wondering about, and it ties into your current reign
Hmm.
as well, is with beauty pageants. There's a ton of misconceptions out there. So I just kind of want to take or get your point of view of what misconceptions about beauty pageants have you heard or have been told to you, and how you dispelled those misconceptions and how it felt to win these titles.
Well, I've heard quite a bit of them. I would say that often, I think beauty pageant contestants often have a reputation or some sort of perception of being catty, for example. I can't tell you how far from the truth that has been. I mean, yes, they are there are contestants, far and few, who are actually, catty in their behavior, but for the most part, it's really a sisterhood. I say that so genuinely. The first few pageants, especially that I competed in, they made me feel incredibly comfortable. I mean, I grew such a great bond with those women that some of us are still in touch with each other. We're still friends. We support each other now, even though we've gone on to do other things in our lives, whether some of us are mothers or some have gone on to other pageant systems, some are lawyers. I mean, we're so supportive of each other. And so, I mean, it couldn't be farther from the truth that we're catty. Um, I would say that there are other stereotypes and other stigmas about pageantry, especially about when it comes to contestants, and a certain being of a certain beauty standard. As a Black woman, as a more voluptuous or curvaceously figured woman, and as a shorter woman as well. It's always been a perception that women who look like me have not been ideal enough of a standard of beauty to compete in beauty pageants. But Miss Black USA proved that to not be true for me. Um, the same as at Miss Supranational. My experience at Miss Supranational was incredible. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I could do that pageant. I didn't think I would be good enough to be chosen, for exactly those reasons. Because even though I had been a pageant contestant in numerous pageants before that, this was one of the most prestigious pageants in the world. Miss Supranational, top four. And so I believed, like other people would believe, that I wouldn't be welcome there. And when I got there, it couldn't have been farther from the truth. Um, no, not everyone will like every contestant, but that's true across the board. What I can say is that the system made me feel very, very welcome, very comfortable. They completely appreciated how unique I was and what I've brought to their system. And once again, even though it's been a couple years since I competed, I feel so supported by that organization, and they're even all cheering for me at Miss Planet International. So I love and appreciate them for that.
Well, and you just brought up actually a good point because I think the fear always a fear that paralyzes us into doing the next thing, into
Mhm.
taking that big leap of faith, and
Yeah.
and this goes across the board. I that this could be somebody trying to find the next job in their career, or somebody that was let go during this pandemic and now they're trying to do something else, but that maybe not have that security net that they once had before. How did you get into that right state of mind to pursue this pageant, and kind of just give you that courage to go in there, not knowing at first what you were going to expect?
Well, I do. I consider myself to be a spiritual person, a religious person, and I'm of the Christian faith. And so a lot of it was grounding myself in my faith. And whether or not that's, the same faith that someone else shares, I do think that there is something very powerful about taking some time out of your day with yourself, whether that's prayer, meditation, yoga, whatever it is that you do to center, ground, connect with yourself, even if it's journaling, like doing morning pages. I think that it's so helpful in being able to have a morning routine or an evening routine that really grounds you in your own in your own convictions. Because when I sat with myself and sat with God every day, praying and preparing myself for the day, it reminded me of the things I truly wanted in my heart to accomplish. I truly wanted to feel confident enough to take the stage. I truly wanted to accomplish all of these goals. I wanted to reach out to all of these schools, perform my play, do these workshops with these kids. I wanted to be able to have a pageant platform to help me have a greater reach and do those things. And so reminding myself of those goals and affirming those things every single day really, really helped me. And so that's how it started. And it does take time. I'd be lying if I said, I did it once, one day, and that was good enough and it was done. It took me some time over the course of maybe, a few months, but it was so helpful for me.
What has been the scariest thing for you to do? Modeling, pageantry, acting, or dancing, or teaching?
Um, all of it has been absolutely terrifying, I can tell you. But truthfully, I will say that teaching is scary. Teaching is really scary because kids are so impressionable, and so I'm always thinking to myself, especially when I was a newer teacher, always thinking to myself like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, I don't want to do the wrong thing, I don't want to confuse them. That's the scariest part, is thinking you may confuse them. And so that was sort of what went through my mind, or occasionally still goes through my mind when I'm teaching, is, am I doing this right?
Yeah, yeah. I kind of had a feeling you were going to say teaching, because it's the same thing for me. I do what I do. I have my own skill set, and people tell me, "Oh man, you're really good at your job," and I always tell them thanks, and that makes me
Mhm.
feel good. But I've also been a person that has been in charge of training other people, especially training
Yeah.
them in things that I know. But sometimes I do things that are so unorthodox, that it just can't be put down in a textbook. And
Mhm.
so for me, it was always a little bit. I guess I would say scary too, or just I would just worry too much about it, because just like you, I didn't want to be teaching people something that was gonna come back to me and make me look bad or something. So yeah. So anyway, I just had a feeling you were gonna say teaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and kids are also, they're very honest. They are
yeah.
super honest. So, they'll tell you like, that made no sense. And if that was all you had left, if that was your best explanation, like, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. Yeah, at that point, yeah, yeah, you just pack it up and go home, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's why
Oh,
teaching is scary for me.
oh
But I
man.
love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Wow. And so dancing for you, you're a dance instructor as well, correct? So,
Yes. So
mhm.
oops, sorry.
No, 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 go ahead.
Oh, yes. I'm a dance instructor. Mainly ballroom dance. Ballroom
Mhm.
dance is what I used to teach. I used to teach more often. Like, I used to teach daily in a studio, and now now and then I just take private wedding couples. It was difficult throughout COVID, but of course, we keep on going.
Actually, that you brought up my next question here, because we have been in this pandemic for a year now, or
Yeah.
over a year, depending on how you look at it. And a lot of businesses, a lot of people had to pivot from what they were doing before to make what they were doing work for these times. How
Mhm.
have you pivoted in all the fields that you've been working in? How have you pivoted to um, endure during this pandemic? And have you had more success with one or the other? And how um, uh, uh, what have you done as far as pivoting to make these things work for you? What kind of things have you done?
Well, I have, honestly, throughout, especially the beginning of our quarantine here, since March, it got really difficult for me because, the programs that I do with the theater companies, and the schools were both closed at the same time. And so I had some, amazing contracts that I was looking forward to, amazing work with some students I was looking forward to coordinating. And these were especially really important for me because they were programs that specifically recruited me because of my connection to youth of color in my area and in my neighborhood. And so, as a representative of the Jamaican American community in my area, it was super important for me to do this work with them. And it was canceled because of quarantine and school closures. And, budgets allocated now to technology and things like that. So I totally understand. But for a while, it kind of made me feel like, okay, well, I can't teach anymore. All the theaters are closed, so we're not acting. Um, what dance studios are closed, we're not dancing. What am I doing? What are we
Mm-hmm.
doing? And for a while, I even thought maybe this should be my transition out of the art and entertainment industry. Like maybe this can't be what I do anymore. And so number one, the first thing I did was
Mm-hmm.
try not to panic during that time, and give myself some time to think about um, other things, think about other ways that I might be able to adapt, other ways that my skill set could be of use, and other ways that I could achieve the other goals that I had for myself. I think as much as I am an artist, I am first, a human being, and so there are other goals outside of this that I need to pursue. I think, wholeheartedly, my theater department used to had a saying. It was their motto, and it was like, so going to paraphrase it right now, but it was something along the lines of, first I honor life, and with it my life in the theater. And so, as an actor and entertainer and teaching artist out of work, I had to honor life. And so I went on to a point where I took my own sanity, mental health, and all of that into consideration in, thinking about what other needs I had that I wanted to take care of. And once I did that, and I was able to help myself be okay with the fact that I was mentally going to make the switch from doing what I'd always done, which is what I was passionate about, to doing what needed to be done, um, then I was okay. And soon the industry kind of came back. I mean, we're not 100% there yet, but I really think that, prioritizing one, my mental health in that time, and two, giving myself some grace to understand that everyone is going through a difficult year was super important for me.
That's excellent and well said. Because I've talked to people that um, just felt like the whole world was crumbling around them, and they didn't know what to do or how to get out of it. And I myself was in a position during this pandemic when I had to. I mean, I was unemployed for a little bit, not as long as other folks are, but I had to make a transition from one workplace to another workplace, and I took that time, just like you said, and I'm glad you said it because I think it's great advice. You have to get, you have to put that time in you, and get your mental health. You get your own health, up and running, and worry about yourself. And if that means just going out, taking some sun, going on a walk, or maybe tending to a little garden somewhere.
Hmm.
Or like me, I just, research as much of the latest tech that was out there, and I, spend time relaunching my YouTube channel and just coming up with all these creative ideas. Um, yeah, I think it's really important that that people follow exactly what you just said and what you did and what worked for you. I think that's a great rule of thumb. And the people that I have talked to that have done exactly what you did, they're definitely in a better place. They're able to pick themselves up during this whole time that COVID has been going on, and they're just in a better place.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And
So
I
let
think too, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think too that what really helped me and helped others around me who I'm close to as well was the fact that we also stayed connected. Like we knew that we all were going through a tough period of time, and we kept doing check-ins, and I think that was super helpful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Excellent point. So now let's pivot a little bit and talk about just your adventures in the UK. Now you said that you originally well, what took you to the UK was uh, your schooling for the arts theater, I believe it was.
Yes.
So so once you were there, maybe just talk to me a little bit about what you lived, how the culture, was it a culture shock for you? What things did you do over there to experience the differences in the culture over there? What did you do? I just want to hear your experience because I really find it fascinating, I just never been. Like I said before, I've always wanted to go to Europe, and one of the places I wanted to go to was London. But I do know that there's a lot of differences, all and a lot of common things that we share here in America with them, food and other things. But just talk to me about your experience. That's what I want to hear.
I absolutely loved London. London is one of my favorite cities in the entire world. Like, if I had to pick another another place to live right now, like if you asked me, "Hey, you have to leave here tomorrow. Where's it going to be?" London would be my answer. I really loved it. I had a great time. It was the first time that I had been so independent before. I had never experienced that much independence for myself. Um, and so I went there, and there were some other students from my theater department, but we were all separated into separate groups, and classes. And so we didn't have classes at the same time, and we didn't leave to go to school together at the same time. So I was really on my own. And I would say I like to call myself a solo traveler because since then I've taken a lot of solo trips. But that was really my first one, and I spent 5 months there, and it was incredible. I will tell you, the culture shock for me came when I was trying to walk in heels. I've always loved heels. It's not a pageant thing. I've just always loved high heels. And the culture shock really came when I was trying to walk in high heels, and I realized that, outside of the literal one street that I lived on, most of the areas where I traveled had cobblestone roads. And so it was very difficult to walk on cobblestone in high heels. But I had a great time. I loved the culture. I loved how, I know we call America a melting pot, but I feel like London is the melting pot. I feel like when I was there, I saw so many different, people with different racial backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, cultures, all together as friends or in relationships, and it was amazing. I've never seen diversity like that in a city before, and so I mean, and I used to go to school in New York, so it was amazing to me to see that. They have some of the best Indian food in the world. um, I've heard this before from a ton of people, including people who have been to India. They do say that, if they had to give London number two in the world as far as Indian food is concerned, it's incredible there. Um, it does rain a lot. That is the only thing about London that was not my favorite part. But for the most part, I think it was amazing just knowing that I was in an area with such, incredible history, and such cool artifacts, and able to study from literally the best acting trainers in the world, was just awesome to me, especially at such a young age.
And what drew you to actually to continue in theater? And did at any point in your career did you try and pursue on-air TV acting? That involved movies or sitcom or even coming out to Hollywood.
Actually, it's something that I got the idea to start doing throughout quarantine. It was quarantine that really, when I thought, okay, this is clearly going to be the end of my acting career because theaters are closed and we don't know when they'll be able to reopen. Um, I, I a few weird things happened. I started to, old casting, old I'm sorry, old agents who I had relationship with when I was doing theater in New York. Um, we ended up just having some sort of virtual meet again. It was the equivalent of bumping into each other on the street, but we ended up connecting again. And they recently merged with another agency and have become more of a film and television agency now. And so, it was that. It was a recent press conference that I was invited to do, which was incredible to me because I'm not a film and television actor as yet, but all of the executive directors and heads of the unions that run Hollywood really were in attendance. And so I couldn't help but think to myself, like, how am I even in this room right now? And so all of these things sort of led to me realizing that now is the time for me to make the transition. I've always been interested, but never had the time because of being so busy and having so many other things that I was juggling on my plate. And that's what really led me to make the decision. But really, I mean, theater, art, acting, it's what makes my heart sing. Like, I cannot ignore the fact that I have, this passion for it because of, the way it makes me feel personally and how it's influenced me in my life, but also the ways that I know that I've used it to really connect to students who've had such a difficult time in school before. And knowing that it's had that type of power and that type of influence is what really keeps me invested.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, like, I think there's something about acting, something about films, going to go see a movie or a TV show that's magical. Although,
Mhm.
like during this pandemic, I gotta be honest. Like I've seen so many documentaries about something that's real life. I've seen some reality shows. I've seen
Mhm.
just a lot of, um, I would say, films and TV shows that don't get as creative as pre-pandemic,
Mhm.
and so for me, I always have had a hard time, especially during this pandemic, watching these types of shows and movies. I love losing myself in a movie, and so I mean, just the other day I was watching Tom and Jerry. Now that's and I don't have kids, so but I figured, that's from everything that I've seen so far. This you got you filmmakers that are taking a real life situation, live action, and then inserting these animated computer graphic generated images that are well made, and how the actors interact with something that's not there. I
Right.
find that that's not going to happen in real life in a million years. So that's the first point, that I'm here experiencing something surreal, and that kind of takes me away from what's going on in real life. But also the acting that these actors have to do. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna memorize the script. It's it takes so much of these other little things to create a performance, especially when there's nothing there. And so just the feeling that you get from these performances and from watching these movies, there's always something that I thought was so magical about it. I studied filmmaking in college, and
Oh,
uh,
awesome.
yeah, that I always thought, oh, I'm gonna come to LA and want to be a videographer, maybe a director. I never wanted to be in front of the camera, so this is new for me. But um, I've always been a behind the scenes guy, and so then I eventually got into news, and I became a video journalist that way because I got to create. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I just think there's always something magical about acting and about filmmaking that I think a lot of people gravitate to and appreciate. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you. That's my
Actually, that's
that's
exactly what we call it. That's actually what we call it. When we
yeah.
talk about it and you and you're first like approaching acting in school, they talk to you about the magic of theater and how to suspend disbelief.
Mm.
And I mean, literally, it's like learning to use your childlike imagination all over again. And there's something about that that I absolutely love because no matter who you are, I think everyone could benefit from an escape from reality now and then.
Yeah, exactly. Now I gotta ask. After you came back home, after being 5 months over there overseas, did
Mhm.
you find yourself talking with a little bit of an English accent like Madonna did?
Well, I can't speak for Madonna. I don't think that she had the best accent professors in the world. However, it was a class. And
Uh-huh.
so I always had was able to, do a bit of a British accent myself because I do have family that live in England. And so that was the great thing. While I was there for 5 months, I did get to see some of my family. But um, we also took a class there that actually taught us how to speak in a British accent, and we learned two or three different types of British accent. And so, every now and then she pops out a little bit when I when I need another character. So it's kind of fun. But no, I wasn't like Madonna in like 5 months. I'm now British. No, that
Oh
was
man,
so
that's
funny.
hilarious.
Some people
Yeah.
really do that though. Truly.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Oh man, I speak Spanish and I speak English, but my native language is Spanish, but I've gotten so good at at speaking English that it's just natural for me to go to English from the get go. But
Hmm.
um, I've been to Mexico and I've spent time over there. I've spent. I mean, I used to go over there as a kid and spend a few months out there, but as an adult, I think the last time I was there, I was out there for maybe, I'd say maybe about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And without me realizing it, my accent when I was speaking Spanish started morphing into something that it would even confuse people over there, and they thought that I was actually from that region, from that area, which actually I was so proud of. But it was just something that I did without me even realizing it, and it was because I spoke it so much that I guess at some point I just kind of picked it up. But I wouldn't say I would go as far as saying like, oh yeah, I'm from here, and trying to fool everybody. Um, yeah, so
Well,
um,
I think it's like my upbringing,
uh-huh.
because as a kid, so I was born in Connecticut, but
Hmm.
my parents are Jamaican, and I was the first person to be born in my family to be born in the United States. And so most of my family pretty recently came to this country, maybe in the last 10 years or so. So most of the family members that I knew and I'm close to, I formed relationships with because I'd go to Jamaica. I'd spend, a couple months every summer, every year. We'd go back very often every year, every Christmas, every Easter, so that we, often were there, had a connection with family and things like that. And the same thing would happen, especially because of, my family being from a more rural area of Jamaica. Certain places where I would go, it was sort of expected that I would speak patois, which is the local dialect there. And so that's the same thing. I would come back and I would be pronouncing words in that way. And my accent would change while I was there over the course of the time. And so it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of became part of my identity as to who I
Hmm.
am. I know, when I was younger, it made me feel like I confused a lot of people around me because they didn't know whether to consider me Jamaican or whether to consider me American. Some would say you're born in America, you're American. Some would say, your family's Jamaican, you're Jamaican. But for me, I just, I simplified it and never thought of identity as being this complex of a thing. I just,
Hmm.
I am who I am, and I speak how I speak, and um, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that you embrace yourselves, because when a lot of people dabble into these um, different spaces in society, uh, if I remember being a teenager and being almost terrified to interact, or when I was in one space, interact in a way that maybe let those people think that I was from a different space. It was just a little bit confusing for me, a little bit scary. But then as I grew up, I got more confident, and I accepted who I was. And if I happen to be speaking English and all of a sudden I say a phrase in Spanish, or I just mispronounce a word in English because it's in English and not in Spanish, then I'm really comfortable with that, and with who I am, and the spaces in society that I navigate in. So I mean, it's wonderful to hear that you accepted yourself, and not only that, but that has led to all these positives in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't say that it's always been easy, which is
Mm.
actually what my one woman play was about. My one woman play was about the difficulty I had navigating, my experience says through childhood, through adolescence, trying to figure out exactly what kind of woman to be, because I felt like as a black woman in America, I was expected to fit a certain description, and I was expected to speak a certain way, and that wasn't the case for me. My family not being from this country, um, you know, kind of made me feel different in that sense. And then also the idea, across overseas, the way Americans are perceived wasn't exactly me either, because I wasn't fully American, and so I talk about that, and I talk about how difficult it was to just navigate what identity looks like being a first generation American in this country, and also a black woman, and all of these intersections. um, and really, I think performing the show more and more, and having the experience of writing was really what helped me to get to that point of being able to embrace it and be more comfortable with it.
Mhm. So let's just briefly talk about some of the projects that you're working on currently, and where can people go and partake in these wonderful projects that you're working on.
Absolutely. So I'm super excited now that it is officially uh, Women's History Month. I am excited just to celebrate and celebrate women. I mean, it's a celebration of women every day for me, but I do get to do this with my pageant platform. And so I'm offering a pageant preparation workshop. It's also just a workshop it's not just for pageant contestants, it's a workshop for anyone who is interested in um, learning more about how they can um, look and feel more polished and more confident in any room that they walk into, just on a daily basis for themselves. And so it's a partnership between myself as Miss Planet Jamaica and also the Miss World U.S. Virgin Islands organization. And so all of the contestants for the Miss U.S. Virgin Islands pageant will be there. They are preparing for their upcoming pageant, where they will select the delegate who will represent the U.S. Virgin Islands at Miss World, at the Miss World competition this year. And so I'm really excited about that. I'm currently I have the registration link up. It's on Eventbrite, but you can go to my Instagram at Tonille Watkis, and there in my bio there is a link to the website, and you can just click on the link at the top when you get there, and you're able to register. I'm really excited to offer it, and so I think it'll be a great way to celebrate, but also I just love contributing, and why not use my pageant skills to give back to women and help them feel empowered during this time.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to having folks go and check that out. And Tonille, if you don't mind, I do have a little bit of a game that I like to call rapid fire, and I've done it with some previous guests in the past, especially in
Okay.
the past season. So this show, but it's just a quick way of just getting to know you and your personality. I mean, it's already obvious that what a inspiration you are, but these are just more mundane questions.
Okay.
All right, so let's start. All right, we'll start with what your favorite color is.
Pink.
Favorite ice cream.
Grape nut.
Favorite song.
Oh, that's so hard. I love music so much. That's so hard. That's not a fair question.
Do you have like a favorite
Favorite
genre?
song. Reggae.
Ooh, nice, nice. I love that. Favorite dish to cook.
Ooh, has to be pretty much anything I can curry.
Nice.
Yes.
Um, your favorite article of clothing to wear.
Favorite article of clothing to wear?
Yeah, like do you have a favorite
I would
T-shirt,
say
a
shoes.
jacket, shoes? Okay.
Shoes. I love any type of shoe that I feel for that day, but I'm such a shoe person.
Mm-hmm. Um, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
Ooh, okay. Favorite TV show? It's not even on air anymore. It hasn't been for a while, but Game of Thrones is incredible.
Yes, yes. Who's your favorite character on that?
Jon Snow. I'm gonna be
Yes.
typical. Jon Snow. He's just so great.
Now, although I gotta ask you, what did you think of the ending to the series?
I was just so upset with the ending. I
Yeah,
was so
yeah,
upset. They know they did not do us
yeah.
right with the
Exactly,
ending of that show.
exactly. They got to do like a reboot of the last episode. Yeah, I was disappointed too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's supposed to be a sequel actually at some point.
Ooh,
So
okay, all right.
hopefully they'll make up for it.
And your favorite movie?
That's a hard one too. I will go with my favorite movie that I've watched maybe in the past year. And I'll say that that movie would be, even that's difficult for me. Favorite movie that I've watched maybe in the last 2 weeks, I would say Judas and the Black Messiah.
I still got to watch that, so I'll probably do that this weekend during my time off.
Yeah.
And finally, oh, actually, I want to ask you this: what is your number one pet peeve?
Oh, when people chew with their mouth open.
Yep, yeah. I don't know who would find that attractive.
Oh, it's the noise for me. I can't, the noise drives me nuts.
Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Ooh, favorite guilty pleasure. Um, Being a couch potato. Like I really enjoy being a homebody and doing nothing, sometimes for days. It's really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I just stare at a blank wall. I use my brain so
Uh,
much most times that, yep.
yeah, I just want to turn off for literally
Yeah.
days. Like
What is one fun fact about you that people may not know?
one fun fact about me that people may not know is that um, I'm really into like different world languages and cultures. And so at one point in school, I spent a lot of time watching Bollywood movies and trying to pick up, Indian foreign languages. And so I actually did learn a few words, and I was very proud of myself for it.
Excellent. And what is your favorite Instagram feature?
Hmm. Reels. They're new and
Mm,
they're fun. I like them.
awesome. Finally, what is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram. Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. You and I, we actually met at Clubhouse app.
Yeah.
What do you think of Clubhouse so far?
What's funny is when I met you through Clubhouse, I had been using it more because I was a newer member at the time.
Mhm.
I'd maybe been on for like a month. In the past couple of weeks, I can't say that I've been on that much. I think that Clubhouse is great sometimes, but it's not the kind of app that you can just use quickly and then go do what you got to do. Like I feel like you could be in these rooms all day. So I don't know. That's kind of the drawback for me about it.
Exactly. One time I was having and this is not a dig on anybody or any room, but one time I was having a hard time sleeping, and I figured, you know what, let me just pop into one of these rooms. And yeah, I think after I've never slept so good.
Dozing off to the people in the room.
Yeah, I mean,
That's so
I just,
funny.
I, yeah, I mean, it was a room that had so many people in there that I was never going to get chosen to go up to the stage anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the conversation was just something mundane that I can't even remember it. But I think definitely like after a good 10 minutes, I woke up and I was like, "What? It's like 5 hours past the." Yeah, so yeah, it was good. It definitely has multiple uses. Um,
Yes,
so
exactly.
yeah, Tonille, before we wrap this up, I just kind of want to. I know we went a little bit over time from what I had mentioned, but
No
I just want to give you the last word. Is there anything that you'd like to say or mention that I didn't ask, or maybe just kind of leave the audience with some words of inspiration?
I want to thank you for having this. Has been amazing, and um, right now I think just reminding people be good selves in this moment. You know, take care of yourself. Do whatever it is that you feel you need to take care of yourself. I know that now that it's been over a year since COVID, everyone's like scrambling their way back to their normal, and it's okay if it takes a little time too. So that's what I'm telling myself too. So best wishes to everyone, and thank you again for the Oscar.
Oh, of course, my pleasure. Thank you, Tonille, for taking some time out of your busy schedule, and that through the magic of technology and the internet, having a good solid internet connection, we were able to, set this up and talk. And I just had a blast with this conversation. I wish you could talk more, but I know that we're in two or three, well, yeah, two different time zones here. So
Yes,
I'm sure we'll talk more in the future. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on, telling your
my
story.
pleasure. Thank you.
And for everybody watching this video, I really appreciate your support. If you like this video, you can follow me on YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and don't miss another upload. Throughout the broadcast, you also saw a graphic with a QR code come up, so you can always scan that with your smartphone, and you can connect with Tonille on social media in the digital world. You can read a little bit more about her too. I just again, I just want to thank her for just taking some time out of her schedule. I know she's a very busy woman to just come on and I really enjoyed just listening to her journey. And more. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching. So until next time, just go out, grab some sunshine, take care of each other. I'll see you later. Bye bye.